Your girl is nervous, but we're here, and you'll know why I'm nervous because we have the first guest of Fumble Forward, the podcast about people living an imperfect life and trying to develop their relationship with God, themselves, and others in pursuit of their truest self. And y'all, this is the episode that explains why I named season one Happy Yourself. Because I know y'all were probably like, all right, okay, sure. And it's because I have a special guest. Say hello.
Hey guys. I guess no intro. You can Google it yourself or call me. So yeah, we're just gonna focus on the topic. I have no notes, but
No, it's just freestyle. We just talk as it's coming, but definitely have some like points I want to
mm,
cover with y'all. And really, in so many ways, you're the reason this season was called Happy Yourself because you said that phrase to me in the beginning of our marriage, and I would love for you to share to people why you said that phrase to me, like why you thought it was important for me to know.
mm, mainly because everyone is waiting for someone to do something for them to be happy. Like everything that doesn't go right, they blame somebody else. It's like, oh, my manager didn't give me a promotion. It's their fault that I don't have money. Or something else happens, it's always somebody else's fault. But it's like, when is it your fault? So people had to learn that, yes, other people's actions are going to affect their state of mind, but happiness or being content usually comes from within. So we have to learn how to some extent, control how we feel about, you know, being happy and not giving at least most of the control to other people. We don't, I mean, whoever it may be, just don't
Yeah.
allow someone else to control most of it.
Facts, facts. And y'all, that was a pill to swallow, okay? Because I hadn't really realized so many aspects about myself until I got married and we started having these conversations and discussions. And it was in a season, I would say, what, 2020, 2019, when he shared this phrase, happy yourself. And really, that was at a time where I started having these honest conversations with myself of like, Akuya, do we actually know what makes you happy? Like, if someone could give you a happy day, what would you put in it? And how would you feel? And what would you be doing? And all these things. And I had to be honest with myself that, like, I was unknowingly not as happy as I thought. And part of it was because I didn't even know what that meant. And him sharing that phrase, happy yourself, invited this whole conversation with myself and with God of like, what does that actually look like for me?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, everyone has what makes them happy. I mean, mine is my Xbox. My Xbox makes me very happy. So
Right.
I play a lot of Xbox to make me happy.
Yeah.
There's some other things, but right now that's all I can think about. And I like to challenge people to stop blaming people for them not being happy and do the most they can to make themselves happy.
Right. And what's something else that you would consider makes you happy? I'll share mine, but I'm curious. Besides your Xbox.
Hmm. More of a flexibility, being able to make last minute decisions and not have any big consequences to it. So
Yeah.
just being flexible, being able to, decide today that, hey, I don't want to work and live with it versus, having to plan 3 years or 20 years in advance to fill a 401k so that in 60 years I do not work.
Right. Right.
So,
Not for sure.
yeah, I mean, I think that makes at least me happy.
Yeah. No, for sure. For me, it's when I'm able to hang out with loved ones and be able to do fun, memorable things with them. Whether that's just being at home watching a movie, whether that's going on a trip together. Like when I'm able to spend time with loved ones, I feel so poured into and like rejuvenated, and I could do anything. And I also really enjoy being outside.
Yeah.
Like I'm very happy when I'm outside. And sometimes that's in nature, sometimes that's in a museum. But the funny thing is the same things that make me happy also make me frustrated or mad or like
Mm.
annoyed because when you said that playing your Xbox make me happy, it also made me think about how like when you play Xbox though, like you're annoyed. Like if
Mm-hmm.
you get killed, you're mad. If your team loses, you're mad. But it's also the same thing that brings you joy.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, the things that make you mad most often will make you happy. But
Mhm.
at least so far, my Xbox hasn't made me mad enough to break the controller. So I'm still getting more happiness than anger from it.
Right,
So
right.
I still make sure that the Xbox is not spoiling my mood. So those things, okay, it's gonna make you mad, but not as mad where you can, spoil your whole vibe or not enjoy what you're doing.
Yeah, no, for sure. Because I think about even when I'm like going outside and I go on a hike, for instance, and I get attacked by mosquitoes. I mean, like in that moment, I'm annoyed because I'm freaking itching my whole body, but I'm also still happy that I'm hiking or I'm outside or things like that. And like, of course, these are not the only things that make us happy, but
Mm,
just some of the things
yeah.
that we wanted to share.
I mean, I don't know if you can be annoyed and happy at the same time.
Well, I feel like you can. It's like that Inside and Out animated movie on Pixar where they're talking about like the emotions and things that go on in you. But like in the moment, I'm happy I'm hiking, right? But I
Mm-hmm.
can also be annoyed that, oh, I just got bit by a mosquito. Like in that instant, it's irritating. It's
Yeah,
annoying, right?
no.
It's going to itch after I'm having my happiness in the
Mm-hmm.
outdoors. So I don't know if it has to be even mutually exclusive. I don't even know if that needs to be a requirement.
Mm, I mean, it doesn't have to be. It's just, at least for me, is how long you're mad for.
Oh yeah, they're short, but I'm just saying it technically does happen in the midst of me being happy.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Yeah, I mean, if you're in the midst of being happy, you're mad for a minute. I mean, honestly, who cares, right? Someone gives the example that if you have $1 million and someone steals $1 from you, are you gonna go throw away the 999,000 or whatever away? And
No, it's a good point.
so
Like it's definitely a perspective.
yeah, so the person steals the dollar. I mean, you let them have the dollar, and you still know you have 999,000.
Hmm.
Versus the other things where, you know, they they take more from you, and you're like, okay, if they stole 900,000, I might as well feel like I don't want any of it. Let me
Hmm.
just be broke.
Yeah.
So
No, for sure. And I'm curious, like, why do you think people struggle to be happy? Especially like nowadays, everyone seems to be, not everyone, but just a lot of people seem to be extra not content with their lives or just seem to have depression, anxiety, the plethora of words that have been expressed in the media.
yeah, I mean the main thing that I've seen is expectations.
Mm-hmm.
So honestly, the less you expect, the happier you are, because it only seems to get better from there. If you don't expect more, yes, it has its other implications. Where in terms of happiness, you're most likely going to be happy. When I was going to college, I knew, oh, I'm going to this trash ass college, and there's nothing going to be good about it. It happened to be one of the best things I really enjoyed doing, and I'd go back to college and be 18 years ago if I could at the same school, which is in the middle of nowhere. But I was happy. I didn't know more. Like, I just come back from Ghana. I mean, yes, I've been to the States, been to big cities, but I didn't know what college was like. I didn't care about anything. So I was happy there.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you were to take me back today, I'd be instantly depressed. I don't want to be in some village, going to school and doing all of that. So people need to learn to, manage their own expectations and others' expectations if that affects their happiness. Because another thing we have to acknowledge is that some people's happiness is based off how the people they care about or want to see doing well, you know,
Mm-hmm.
be. So
For sure.
yeah, then
I mean, I think expectations is a big, huge one
mm,
that people underestimate how much it influences. And I would even say sometimes too, people just actually don't know what makes them happy. Like, you'd be surprised at the conversations I was having with myself, because I was like, do I actually like that? Like, if other people weren't looking and it was just me, like, would I actually enjoy this
mm-hmm,
thing I claim I said I like?
mm-hmm,
And a lot of times it was actually no. I was like, I don't actually like that.
mm-hmm,
And just like taking the time to actually write down or think about what makes me happy,
yeah,
and then acknowledging that it may change. Like,
mm-hmm,
what made me happy when I was 13 looks different than when I was 23, looks different than when I was 30.
yeah,
And also seeing that too.
yeah. So did you find out what makes you happy?
Yes. I mean, the the two that I mentioned are included, but also spending time with God, and also having that time where I'm able to dance. Like, dancing makes me so happy.
Mm-hmm,
Having things to, like, learning new things
mm,
and areas that I'm excited about, like learning a new dance move or learning how to do some type of water activity. Like,
mm,
that stuff makes me happy even as I'm like fumbling forward and like confused on what to do. And just certain songs too. Like, music's huge for me.
mm,
Like, I realize when I'm playing music, I'm happier. Like, doing the dishes and doing other stuff of life isn't as bad.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I genuinely didn't know that as well as I probably should have
Mm-hmm,
a
mm-hmm.
few years ago.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, for sure. I mean, it's hard for people to find what makes them happy, which is so surprising, or what makes them content.
Right. Because I think it's like everyone just like kind of assumes, like, oh, this, it's like right now, most people, if you ask them, what would you do with $100,000? Like, most people would be like stumbling. Like, they'd be like,
Yeah.
they have an idea, but they don't really know. Like, if
Mm-hmm,
the moment presented itself.
mm-hmm. Because people think money makes them happy, and they get the money, and they're still not happy.
Right.
So,
Facts.
most of the time, it is not money. Is the things money gives you access to that makes you happy, of course, because money on its own won't do crap.
Right. No, for sure. For
Yeah,
sure. It's also like the value we give to it too, right?
yeah,
Is huge. And really, I brought you on too because one of the biggest things is like when you get married, people are like, well, you just hear phrases of like, your partner should make you happy, and like, your responsibility is to make each other happy, and all these things. And what I really learned through our marriage is like, that wasn't true. Like, finding happiness in a marriage is not about finding it in your partner, it's about finding it within yourself and
mm,
your relationship with God. And unfortunately, I feel like I had to learn that the hard way, of just like going through so many hard moments and conversations, and realizing that, like, oh, I didn't have to go through that if I had just looked to God and myself.
yeah,
And by default of me having like this peace and happiness, you will also have your own.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, for sure, it's a different thing when they come and give you the responsibility of someone's happiness is your burden or your problem, because whoever the person is, whether they're a friend, wife, husband, they're gonna come to you in a different state on a different date based on different reasons with some, you know, mood. The mood can be happy, so if the person comes home because they just got a raise, they're gonna be happy. So on that day they're happy, and on the next day their boss is trash and continues to be trash the whole month. Does that mean you're gonna be sad the whole month because that person is sad the whole month? I mean, you could be. And like you said, you felt like the other person was supposed to make you happy, but that's going in the mindset of like you know they're the better half, or like this half and half brings full happiness, where you have to be, it's more of like 100 and 100 makes 200, not 50-50.
Right. Not for sure.
So if you go with that, then you're just gonna be there waiting, like to be happy, and sure, you're never gonna be happy. So
Thanks.
it's like, you know, you're in this place, and we even talk about it how, so I like, money wise or anything. It's like I get this money and I'm still not happy with it. How? And it's like you see significant pay raises and you're still not happy. Why? It's like, what do you want? Like, are the things you want too much? Are you not happy with the life you have? Always people running away for vacation. Like, at least for me, I'm like, why are you always running for vacation? You don't like where you are? Not you, but
Mm-hmm.
it's like, ask people like, why does there always have to be a vacation? I'm on vacation already, so
Life is sweet.
yeah, yeah, life is sweet. So just tell people, hey, just gotta be happy first with what you have, and you can call it content or whatever. And when more comes, you can still be happy. But that's if your life goes to be happy. And lately, I hear you say, yeah, you don't want to be happy. So,
Yes, I said that, but not. I need to rephrase. I don't mean that I don't want to be happy. It's more of I want to seek something I believe is higher than happiness, which is peace. And also, I feel like happiness is so situational,
mm-hmm,
and I don't want to be in a situational state of being. Like, I want peace, even when the chaos, even when my life is going left, right, up, and backwards.
mm,
I'm steady. I have that sense of knowing and what God has called for me in my life, and like all these things where I feel like happiness is a bit so situational that it could just, like you said, you get a job, you're happy, but someone passes, you're sad. Like, it's so in flux. And so I, I do believe like happiness is something that a lot of people aspire to have. I aspire to have it at times, but am I leaning more towards something that I feel is bigger, which is peace? Yes.
you think peace is bigger than happiness?
I think so. Like, how I see peace is it's more of a whole picture,
Mm,
and it is not as influenced by situations versus see happiness as more of like in a moment,
mm.
in a time, situational.
So you just want the one you can control, or
The
you
one
think that you want the one that is easier to get?
I don't believe peace is easier to get. I think
No.
happiness is easier to get. I think peace is one that requires you to get to new levels to really access and access it fully.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and peace is more of this centeredness that I feel like I don't necessarily always get with happiness.
Mm.
And maybe it's just how I'm seeing the two differently. I don't know. What about you?
Do you know
Like,
anyone who's happy and not at peace?
mm,
Uh,
that's a good
Or do
question.
you know any? Okay, you think of any situation where someone is at peace but not happy?
Uh, so like for instance, let's use a job situation. Someone can be happy that they got a new job that's paying them more, right?
Mm-hmm.
But are they at peace of, do I know if I'm going to perform well on the job? How is this going to impact my family? All those things, they may not be at peace at that, but they can be happy
Mm-hmm.
in that moment that they got a job and they're getting more money. But are they unnerved and all these different things about what it's going to look like? Yes,
Mm.
that can be in the same space.
Mm.
And so I think it's more of those things. You can be happy about stuff, but like, are you settled with it when you put your head on the pillow at night? Like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean that makes sense. That makes sense. Well, yeah. I guess you win.
oh, it's not a win. It's just like I've sat there and thought about it so much
Mm.
based on like literally things you've been saying, like happy yourself. That's provoked me to actually like really think about these things,
Yeah,
And honestly, it provides clarity for me because there's sometimes you're like, oh, I'm seeing two different things, and it's because maybe I hadn't nailed down that peace component yet,
yeah,
you
yeah,
know.
yeah.
But
Yeah, that makes sense.
I appreciate you being on here. This was a big deal, y'all. Y'all don't even want to know. But he's the reason this podcast has started in so many ways. And so I'm so excited to have you be my first guest. for Fumble Forward. But I'm gonna let him go. I'm gonna do my spiel. He's been a trooper.
No, I thought you ended here.
No, I got some little stuff I gotta tell them.
Okay. Bye, podcast people.
Y'all, that was just a little snippet of my beloved, this husband of mine. Y'all are about to see why I couldn't let this recording just end right now, because your girl got some exciting news. Yes. But before I hop into all of that, I want to give you a quick update on the book I'm reading, The Five Love Languages. So insightful, sparked great conversation with my husband and I, and sparked conversation with myself too, and just getting insight of how do I like to be loved? How do I meet people's needs? Such a great read. If nothing else, sparks conversation and update on how am I building community. I am being a person of action and being creative with how I meet up with people that I want to explore the relationship more, okay? Because I just can't do another boring like coffee date or like let's go to eat. Gotta spice it up. So I actually met this couple at a wedding, and I did not let the moment pass, y'all. Like within a week, I messaged her. We have a date to meet up for coffee and go to a pumpkin patch, and your girl is pumped. Okay? Because it's something different. I'm looking forward to all the fall festivities and things. So your girl is out here. And speaking of fall festivities, drum roll please. I am releasing a mug, y'all. Yes, for the fall festivities. And it's for you all, the Fumble Forward community, to have inspiration as you start each and every morning we've been blessed to see. And so these mugs will just have different words of inspiration for you as you get your day started. And I'm excited to debut the first mug, which is just that perfect little ceramic mug for when you're having your coffee and you're starting your day, or when you have your tea. It's just that mug, and it says we all fumble forward. So just inspiration that you're not in this journey alone, we're in it together. So I'm going to be putting the link in the show notes. I'll be sharing it on my socials so you all can get it ASAP and let others know. Going to be great gifts for the holidays coming up, all the things. But I really appreciate y'all listening to this episode in particular, because girl was nervous to do it. But it was so beautiful and so needed. And if you have any friends that are also on this journey of just like figuring out what happiness looks like for them, they're having a lot of questions, they're struggling if they're single or if they're married or if they're dating, like this can speak to them. I encourage you to share this episode with them, and also to not forget to subscribe and just be a part of this journey. Like take it one step forward, and it's getting good. So you want to know when the episodes are dropping, which is every Thursday. And with that, I want to remind you all of something real good, and that is to press onward through the fumbles in this thing we call life. And with that, until next time.